Okay, so we're going to look at dividing some of your perennials. So this is a leucanthemum. This process will also work on your agrianthemums or your agapanthus, any plant like that that sort of clumps. So when it gets a bit bigger and it's starting to crowd itself out, all we need to do, first step, now I've already gone around this, I've cheated a bit, is you dig it out. So you've got to get worked right around the plant, dig it right out. Okay, so there we have it. So you'll see now, when we look in here, you get in there. So you can do this a few ways. I like to do it with a spade, so I'm just going to get that out of the way. So if I get in there with my spade and push down there like that, and then I'll split that apart. Now when you split them, you want to make sure that you've got leaves, the crown and roots. So now where I used to have one plant, now I've got two plants. And you can keep on splitting that. Now you're going to get some like this in the process. Now see, he hasn't got much roots. So chances are he probably won't do real well. But what you could do is pull these little ones off, and even though they've got a bit of root, I wouldn't put them straight in the garden, but you could try and put them in pots and just look after them a bit more carefully. But you will have a few casualties like that in this sort of process. Clean out these dead bits. That's why you're doing it, because it starts to crowd itself out. You can see how easy it comes apart. So there's one plant. There's another plant. That one there could probably make two. Yep, so there's another two, so I've got four now. This one here, I'm just going to... So I could plant that as one bigger one, or I could split any of these ones off here and put them in pots. And they'll live. I'm going to leave it as one for this. That's 5, and we've still got this big clump. So again, it's pretty tough at the moment, so I'm going to get my spade back in here. Okay, there's a few more that'll need to go in pots because they don't have much root. Now another tip you can do for these is when they're like that, to help them in the process. I don't have any snips here. But you just reduce the leaf area, so that'll reduce the moisture loss out of it. When you put that in a pot, it's just going to help it not stress quite as much. So this is a fairly simple process. That one there, I'm not going to split that one off the side because he's got no roots yet. But you can see how these things work. All these little nodules up the side of these plants, of these stems, they'll end up potentially growing roots. So like I said, you can do this for any of these sort of clumping perennials, agapanthus, leucanthemums. And this is how to multiply them quite easily, cheaply for yourself. So there we go. So I've got some big ones left here, and I've got a few little ones. I think I haven't counted, I lost count, but probably ended up with 10 or 12, where we started with 1. So now, before you started, you'd probably have your holes dug and your area prepared for where you're going to plant them, and you pop them in. If it's going to be a while between splitting them and planting them, you wouldn't just leave them in the sun like that, because they will obviously going to stress pretty bad and wilt, which sets them back a long way. So if you're going to be a bit of time, if you've got to transport them to a friend's garden or whatever, leave them in the shade and make sure you put moist newspaper or something over them to just help them a bit, not lose so much moisture. And that's about as easy as it is to divide some perennials.